made sure I checked.
All right, so you're sure this is 22?
I'm positive this is 22 because I went on our YouTube channel and looked and it said our last one was 21.
When was that? January? December?
I don't know. We were talking about Mike Rupp and his opinions on
funny.
Igor, and we were pretty pissed about it.
Yeah, that was dust.
But I honestly couldn't tell you when that was. I don't think we did an episode during the hockey season, did we?
Yeah, we did. We
Really?
did at the beginning, yeah, and then we stopped.
And then we realized how hard it is to have time to do that.
Yeah, we just got busy
We'll be better
with
planned.
the hockey season.
We'll be better planned for next hockey season.
Yeah, it was weird because we had 4 games in November and then we had 17 in January and February. That's just how some leagues schedule their games.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know the exact reason why, but to me, it only makes sense because in these southern leagues, or specifically the teams that play in the South, you just don't get many fans when there's still football on.
Right. Yeah, the attendance isn't as good.
Yeah,
which is fair.
Yeah, so I think teams just strategically,
high school, college football,
they just want more home games in the second half of the season when football's done.
When everyone's done. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because for all the Canadian listeners, Mom, high school football takes a front row seat over professional hockey down here. It's just the reality. For most.
100%.
For most, anyways.
Yeah, for most.
But we are back, Hayden.
We're back.
And excited to be back. Back where
playoff hockey is back.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like when I look back at when we started our podcast, I remember a lot of the episodes during the playoffs last year.
Yep. Yeah, we did have a lot of episodes during the playoffs and a lot of summer episodes.
And I feel like it's just because it gives us so much to talk about. And obviously for all the listeners, or majority of our listeners, they're probably also watching the playoffs, so it's relative.
100%. And I think we got to jump right into that, and it's gonna start with probably Connor Hellebuyck and then end with me defending Stuart Skinner for like the 15th time.
I'll be there right with you.
Right?
I mean,
that's just the usual trajectory of these episodes during the NHL playoffs.
If you thought you were tuning in to the first episode and God knows how many months of Off Angle, and we weren't going to talk about Connor Hellebuyck right off the bat,
yeah,
then you don't know us very well.
Yeah, because he's awesome.
He is awesome.
We love Connor Hellebuyck,
and and he's in the hockey media every single day, and it's not for good things.
Yeah, he played well 2 games ago.
He played phenomenal.
We're recording this the morning after they've just lost 5-2 to Dallas in game 3.
Yeah.
So they're down 2-1 now at this point.
Yeah. So I don't know how you want to break this up, but
and they're saying he's 0-6 on the road in his last 6 games.
No, 0-8.
0-8.
He's 0-8 in his last 8 road playoff games, and 6 of those 8 games he's led in 5 or more.
And all 8 aren't this season, are they?
No.
He hasn't played 8.
No.
Okay, but he's given up 5 or more in 6 of those games?
Yeah, 6 of the 8 games he's lost in a row.
Wow.
So
obviously he's not playing his best.
No. And we know that.
We know that.
He knows that.
He knows that.
Everybody in the hockey world knows that. But why?
Right. I think we got to go into what you and I were talking about this situation. Okay? Obviously, I think to put it in as simple terms as possible, to break it down as simple as possible, which is hard to do in a situation like this because there's so much that goes into how Hellebuyck is playing right now. But to break it down as simple as possible, I think he's thinking too much about the outcome during the games. And I think that he's focusing so much on the outcome of what's going to happen because he wants to win a cup so bad, which I know he does. That's why he re-signed with Winnipeg. We were like, why did he re-sign with Winnipeg?
Well, didn't he admit that last year in a post-season interview?
Well, he was saying we are going to win a cup.
Right, but didn't he say, I just want to win so bad? And and I was trying too hard because I thought I had to be Superman, basically.
Yeah, he said that. At first, he said he was playing the best hockey of his career. Then he later said that he was trying too hard. He felt like he had to win the game for the team, so he was just trying too hard to stop the puck. And now I think at this point, it's the same thing.
Yeah, when he said those two things, it was kind of confusing. Cause I'm like, wait, are you at
It contradicted himself a little bit, but that's okay.
But what I think he was trying to say was, I'm at the top of my game, or I was, and then what got me off the top of my game was I just want to win so badly.
Right.
Kind of.
Right. But I think he didn't, when he's in it, he doesn't realize that. He's just trying to focus on winning. I think because he would have reset and just been like, I got to stop worrying about trying to win so much and just worry about making the next save. I think as a goalie, if you start thinking about the result you're getting in the middle of a game, like I've given up 2 goals on 12 shots or something, and now we're down 2-0, I think if you put any focus on that, you're just going to start trying too hard to stop the puck, and then you're going to like misread the puck and you're going to misread the play instead of just relaxing mentally, being quiet and saying, hey, I'm just going to do what I can to stop the next puck. And at the end, we'll see how the cards fall, but I'm going to do everything I can to make this next save, and that's your only focus.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times. I mean,
yeah.
But with him, when he's off, he is so off. Like last night's game on the, I don't remember which goal it was, but it was the one where he like it was a lateral play and he slid like 4 feet above his post, and they took it to the middle of the net. They threw it towards the middle of the net. It might have hit somebody and went in. But like,
which one are you talking about? Is this the one? Because there's 3 that he got a little wild on.
I think it was the last one.
Oh, the 5th goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he slid to the post, but then he let himself slide towards the guy off the post.
Yeah.
And all he did was just throw it to the middle, and then he had no chance.
Right.
I feel like when he's on his game, he just goes to the post, sticks, and then the guy shoots it, the puck hits him. If there's rebound, he just bumps to the middle and he makes another save.
Yeah, like even if it hits a shin pad, probably his D-man's hip or shin pad or whatever in front, he's just in such a good spot. It probably just hits him.
Yeah, just hits him.
But he has, when he's off, he's just he's nowhere near where he needs to be positionally.
Yeah,
and it's so evident from his comments and just from being goalies and also wanting to win games so bad and putting ourselves in positions similar to that. It's so obvious that he's just trying to do way too much.
Yeah.
Now the question in my opinion is it all coming just from strictly wanting to win, or is it coming from also or thinking too much about outside sources or the game itself? So
do you mean like numbers?
No, not so much numbers. More so, well, I guess technically one would be a number. The fact that I've lost 8 games in a row on the road, that's kind of a number. But more so, not so much just that number, but the fact that everyone else is talking about it. And it's like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong that this 0-8 record in my last 8 road games is not a good example of who I am. Like, watch how good I am type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is great. As an athlete, I think that's great. That's just you being a competitor. But as a goaltender specifically, you can't, as you were saying, you can't think about those outcomes.
I think so too, because here's the hard thing. Like Michael Jordan, if he's like, I want to win really bad, he can go out and possess the ball and take it to the rack and like score and defend and do everything to control the game. As a goalie, yes, you want to win bad, but you can't really control what's going on in the game. Your team wins as a result of you handling situations, I guess, situations that you don't know you're going to face until they happen in the game.
Right.
And they're always different.
The game comes to you.
They could be similar, but the game always comes to you. So you can't really go out there and control the game. So I think when you are focusing on you want this outcome, that's a byproduct of you making saves. And I think that unlike other athletes, as a goalie, if you start going out and trying too hard, it doesn't make it better for you, and you don't control the game more. I think you can be chasing the game, and then, like we said, when you're trying really hard, I don't know, when you're trying to stop the puck really hard, you're not just relaxing and reading it. You're like trying to move before the puck is shot because you don't want to get scored on, and it just creates a lot of issues. And the thing with Hellebuyck is that, or any goalie, because we watch playoffs, there's games where like Hellebuyck or Ottinger or somebody looks dialed in, and they just get scored on 5 times. And it's like, yeah, I mean, Wool or Ottinger or Hellebuyck or whoever it is, Freddie, like, yeah, I mean, he was dialed in. He just got scored on. Like, he played things the right way. And then we can also tell when they're not dialed in and getting scored on. And I think that's when it's most frustrating as a goalie.
Yeah, and it's not just Helly. It's all over the playoffs. You see examples of goalies chasing the puck or chasing the game, however you want to word it. I haven't decided which term I like better, chasing the puck or chasing the game, but they both make sense.
They could both be their own term.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. So I guess when I'm talking about both of those, it's not just Helly, but what you and I were talking about the other day is Helly seems to like it's not like he's like he's an all-star, right? In our opinion, he's one of, if not the best goalie in the world right now.
Right.
So why is it that's an elite goaltender of that level who should be the one more than anybody else be able to fix this issue, not be able to? Instead of it being, okay, Helly had a bad game, he was chasing the puck that game. Next game he's going to reset and be a stud, and he does. In the playoffs, that's the last 2 years from my memory, that's not what happens. It seems like as soon as he enters the playoffs, he just goes straight into battle mode, and it's like, I need to win, I need to win, I need to do everything I can to win. And he tries to control a game that he has no control over. Because to further your point, he's not a quarterback. He's not Michael Jordan with the ball. A goalie is a very unique position. Yeah. I guess similar to other defensive positions in maybe like football or the guy who's defending Michael Jordan. I don't know, but it's even more complicated than that, in my opinion. You have no control, and as soon as you try and take control, you're trying to force the issue. You're trying to get a result that is made up in your mind of how things should be, and you don't have any control over that.
Yeah, right. I think you kind of stop your flow. Like, you stop yourself from being as focused as you can, which I think for goalies is obviously physically intense, but you're mentally relaxed, just letting the game come to you, letting the puck come to you, and just trusting yourself to read it. I think you interfere with that pattern in your mind, and then who knows where it goes from there.
Yeah, it's not good.
But you don't feel dialed in, and then when you get scored on, you don't feel dialed in, or after the game, and you're like, I just didn't feel like I ever really got to in a real flow state. I feel like that's, again, like I said, the most frustrating, because you're like, I got scored on, I didn't feel good during that game. What do I need to do next game so I get that?
Right.
And then you start looking for that. And I think I saw this quote Helly said after the first round against St. Louis, which they kind of limped through. He said, like, I feel like the weight of the world is off my shoulders, which we saw. But we were saying, we think like Hellebuyck is so good that he would be able to not put that sort of weight on his shoulders.
Right. He's the one in any series. He's the one putting the weight on his shoulders.
And so I get like, especially I'm sure in Winnipeg, the media is crazy for hockey.
Well, yeah, it's
you can't do anything or go anywhere without seeing something or hearing something.
Definitely not. It's a small city you can see it on TV. The entire city, everyone knows who the Jets are. Everyone knows all the players. Like, it's the pressure. If you let it be, the pressure is intense.
But we've always had, and we always say, we have full confidence that if there's a guy that can deal with it, it's Helly. Yeah. First of all, there's got to be. He puts more pressure on himself, I think, than anybody would. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't let somebody put more pressure on himself than he would put on himself.
Okay, but is that a good thing or a bad thing or both?
I think in this sense it's good, because that means that you're not letting other people affect you, what they're saying. You're focused on yourself. You're focused on playing your game and what you can do to get better and help the team win. I think if someone else is putting more pressure on you, that means you're focused on what other people are saying about you or thinking about you instead of focusing on yourself. Also, and obviously it also means that you're holding yourself to a higher standard than other people would hold you, which I think Helly does.
Okay, I would agree with you, but isn't there something in there that's kind of counterintuitive to what we say you shouldn't be putting any... Well, I guess pressure on yourself is different from... Sorry, I'm thinking out loud here. Is putting pressure on yourself different from worrying about or thinking about results?
I think what I mean by pressure on yourself is you're going to go out there, focus on doing your best to stop each puck, and then after the game, you evaluate yourself to a higher standard than other people would.
Yeah,
that's what that means. 100%. I should specify what that means.
Yeah. I think it's important you specified that because it's. I mean, also putting pressure on yourself. A guy like Helly, that guy's putting pressure on himself all the time, not just during 60 minutes.
No, I think he is.
And I think when you put pressure on yourself as an athlete, that means that you're going to be pushing yourself harder in the gym. You're going to be making the right decisions just to make yourself a better athlete in general.
Right, 100%. Like, you hold yourself to a high standard as an athlete, as a professional, as a person. But, you can control your going into the gym and working as hard as you can.
Yeah.
During a hockey game, there's not a lot you control as a goalie.
Right. So I'm just thinking about the 5 goals last night because, again, recent memory. Now, what are some good examples of goalies chasing?
Well, like you said on the 5th goal, Helly going over. It's a cross-ice pass. Usually he just, especially because I don't know who shot it from the sharp angle, but Jamie Benn was at like a sharp angle. Usually Helly just goes to the post and sticks, and it just hits him, and either he eats it as a whistle or he's ready for the rebound. Last night he went over, and then he bumped out at the player who's already at a bad angle. And that's one of the things that we like about Helly that makes him so good is how calm he is, not rushing at the puck when guys are going to shoot it or when guys are in a good spot to shoot it.
Yeah, you don't
or
need
a scoring
to.
chance.
You don't need to. And he knows
right,
that.
but he's always very good at not doing that. That's like part of what makes him good.
I think that's like that's like a top 3 thing that makes him who he is.
Now, obviously, his ability to track and read the puck on top of that is good because if you just sit there and then don't track the puck, you're not going to make the save.
No, then you're almost just like hoping it hits you.
Right.
Right. But I think, to further your point, he puts himself in a great position to make every save, but then also is elite at reading plays and reacting to pucks.
Yeah, especially because he just puts himself in a spot where he can get to any play at any time.
Yeah.
Which he did against Dallas in Game 2. With like 4 seconds left, he slid across, just stayed on his post, didn't rush out at the guy. The guy went back door, so went over and back, and he just bumped to the other post, and the guy hit him in the pad with the one-timer. Like, that's when he's dialed in.
See, that's a good example of letting the game come to you and just making reads. And that's, again, to further your point, he does that more often than not, except for apparently in the playoffs, because right now he's probably, how many games has he played? 10? They went to 7 with St. Louis, right?
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
So they've played 10 games, and I would say probably I'll give him 3 games where he's been dialed in.
Yeah, okay.
So another example, actually, I don't want to brush over this because we also got to talk about the good examples. A good example to what Hayden was just saying is it doesn't matter how many times when you're letting the game come to you or when Connor Hellebuyck is not chasing the game and he's dialed in, it doesn't matter how many times that puck moves laterally. He doesn't chase. He makes sure that he's anchored into the ice somehow, probably with skate blades, or with him, he's usually always got a skate blade on the post or toe bridge or whatever, so that he can easily push without making an extra movement.
Right.
And naturally, being that he's on the post, it puts him in a good position to make a save because he's not way far out of his net.
Right.
So that's a good example. Another example that you texted me about this morning. And we haven't solved this issue, so we're gonna try and
solve it right now.
Well, I don't know. Solve it.
Great.
We're just gonna talk about what happened and see if we can figure out the why.
Okay.
Why? What goal is it where he like I don't know what he was doing with the stick. He slid his hand to his top.
Well,
of his stick.
Rantanen. First of all,
it's the weirdest play I've ever seen.
First of all, you have Mikko Rantanen cutting across the hash marks by himself.
Right.
With Helly's defenseman in front of him.
The hottest hockey player in the world right now.
Right. For whatever reason, Helly slid his hand up his stick to poke check, even though Rantanen was moving laterally, which we were like, why was he doing that? Then Rantanen got in front of him and he put his hand down with his the knob of his stick covering his 5-hole instead of the paddle, but it didn't matter because Rantanen went high over his shoulder anyways.
But okay, yes, you're right. Also, why there was 2 or 3 bodies in front of him. When are you going to have a window to poke check?
If he somehow poke checked through his defense, was able to poke check Mikko Rantanen by himself through his defenseman's feet, then I don't even know what to say.
It's hard enough to try and poke check a guy when there's no
when there's nobody there and he's fumbling the puck.
Yeah. It's hard enough to poke check Mikko Rantanen ever. If you try and poke check Mikko Rantanen, he's going to more than likely make you look like an idiot.
He's by himself. You're not poke checking Mikko Rantanen.
But again, this is an example. Things like this where you're like, what is he doing? This is an example of him chasing the game a little bit or a lot in this scenario. He's trying to do too much. So I watched it in slow-mo, courtesy of TNT, last night a couple times. And to me, I was like, is he like trying to fight through traffic, i.e. why he got so low, paddle down, or
but what was bizarre is that it was when you go paddle down, usually your paddle's in your 5 hole.
Right.
He was going shaft down, which I've never seen.
This is where I just respect Helly, and I know you do too. So I know you're going to appreciate this.
Right, I'm going to love this.
Is he so good that he's like, I got to get low to see this, which is going to expose other areas. So I'm going to utilize the size of my stick and slide it to my left side to cover more of the far side, so that I can. You get what I'm saying? Because if his paddle's just in front of him, it's really doing nothing but covering the 5 hole. But if that paddle's covering the far side and I'm covering where my paddle would be if I was holding it like a normal goalie in this scenario, then I'm covering more net. That's the only why I could come up with why he would ever do that in this situation. Is that insane?
I think that's insane.
Why else would he do it except for just like his brain just
First of all, that's something that he would do. You'd be
Right.
like, oh, I'll just make the save with my paddle if it goes to the left side of the net.
Which is why I mentioned it, because I knew you would appreciate that.
Okay, first of all, this is the type of thing where Helly would have the shaft of his stick covering his 5 hole, and the puck, he'd make a save with it. There's so many clips of him where he's like in not a spot to make a save, which we just talked about he usually is. But when he's not, he's like not really, he's bad in a spot to not make a save, and he somehow like reaches back with his stick and it like hits the toe of his blade and goes in the corner.
And
I'm like, are you kidding me?
He looks so uncomfortable when he does
I would have slid over there in the full butterfly and they still would have scored. So he probably is good enough to make a save with the shaft of his stick just covering his 5 hole. I think he was thinking, Mikko Rantanen's walking in across. I'm going to poke check him. But he went across instead of coming in. So then he's like, okay, well, now I can't go like this because I just sacrificed my blocker. I just sacrificed the whole my right side of the net. Mikko Rantanen's left side of the net. So now I just got to eat it and stay like this and just try to take up space.
I think that's.
But obviously, when he puts his blocker on the ice, he sacrifices a lot of the top part of the net.
Yeah, and then Mikko Rantanen exposes you.
Which is why we typically don't recommend paddle down.
But
or poke checking.
Right. But what you said is, again, you said what he was thinking in that play. I don't think Connor Hellebuyck thinks about much in a play like that when he's dialed in.
Right. He's just, he's just going to go across. I'm going to go across. It's probably going to hit me in the shoulder.
Yeah, the puck's there right now.
I'll just make
so
a blocker save. Yeah.
Oh, and then when
he's going to shoot it.
And that's it.
Boom.
The puck is there. I am here.
Right.
Yeah. He's not even thinking that. He just knows that because he trains.
Yeah, he's just thinking. Yeah, he's just playing on instinct.
Right. But as soon as he starts thinking, it's like, everyone knows that we love Connor Hellebuyck, but I'm just gonna say this: all goalies are guilty of thinking too much at times, and it gets us exposed.
100%.
When Connor Hellebuyck thinks, he is the worst goalie in the NHL.
I'm not going to go that far, but
I can't
keep
think.
Going.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this rant going. Is Connor Hellebuyck the most flexible goalie in the NHL?
No, he said himself he's the least flexible in the NHL.
So if Connor Hellebuyck is in a position where he needs to be crazy athletic or flexible, which I think those two things go hand in hand together, is he, in his words, he's the least flexible goalie in the NHL. Therefore, my words, I don't think are that far off that he becomes the worst goalie in the NHL when he needs to be athletic and flexible.
I agree to a point, but this is when I just said Helly reaches back like this, and it just like hits his paddle and goes out the other side of the net into the corner.
Okay, but when he does that, it's usually during like actually no, there's been plays in the playoffs he does that. But
against St. Louis he did that.
Right. I think he does that. I think he makes those saves because even when he's off his game, he's still sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes in a better position than most goalies are when they're out of position. So he's able to just like throw a stick out there and it hits his stick.
It. So you're saying even when he's in desperation, he's in a better spot than
sometimes
other guys?
Not all the time.
Okay.
The 5th goal yesterday, no.
He wasn't in a good spot.
No. Like the only one I've seen more like out of position during this playoffs, or the only play I've seen is and I'm going to stir the pot on this one. And I don't know if this is just going to...
I don't know what's coming.
I don't know if this is going to lead to more, but it probably will. Was Stuart Skinner on the game-winning goal with 0.4 seconds left?
You said that was worse?
Yes.
No.
He was at the bottom of the circle.
This is me now. We've transitioned. We're going to transition. We're going to talk about that in a second.
I think that's good.
We're going to talk about that play in a minute.
Okay. I'll let you finish this up.
Because my Twitter is ridiculous right now.
I love Stuart Skinner.
With Stuart Skinner slander, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Proceed.
okay. Now, I gotta think about where we were because now my mind's all scrambled. Okay. So you're right. Helly might be in a better position when he's out of position than other guys when they're out of position. I could agree with that. Last night against Toronto, Bob went reaching for a puck with his glove outside of his net. He had to put all his weight. They just poked it, went around him. And this is where Bob is crazy strong and flexible and mobile, and he just somehow got back into the net in the butterfly, and they hit him. His defense helped him.
I'm pissed I missed that.
But he reached like this. They poked it, which you don't want to reach to cover a puck with your weight like this, because if they poke it by you, unless you're Bob, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Helly's watching that go. Actually, Helly probably sticks his foot out and somehow gets it.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you're also, trust me, you're not Bob. Just
Right.
reality check.
Right. So
Unless Bob's listening to this podcast, which he's not.
no.
No one.
So Bob reaches out to cover it. They poke it by him. They're going in front of him across the net. He's still outside the post. And then he somehow, at 36 years old, gets into his hips and splits across and makes a save.
I believe it.
And it's how does that happen? Hang on. Quick break. So it's how does he have the mobility and strength to do that? I don't know. That's wild to me.
Who, Bob?
Yeah.
Well, because...
That was painful to watch. Physically, as someone who pulled their groin this year, that was physically painful to watch.
100%. It's painful. Like I said, no one's Bob, but I don't think many guys train like Bob either.
Right, but Helly couldn't do that, he said. Yeah, Bob's big-time trainer. Some technical difficulties. It's okay. But Bob is Bob trains crazy hard. There's that interview with Paul Maurice where they're getting ready to play. It's after morning skate. Bob's playing, and he's Olympic lifting in their gym. He's what are you doing?
Just getting to
You're
work.
playing tonight.
Yeah. Just
Getting better, coach. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is that all right with you? You want to win a cup or not?
Yeah. And did they?
And they did, yeah.
And they look like they're about to again.
They look really good.
They look so good.
So, and then Helly had that interview where he said, I probably study goaltending more than anyone on earth. I know how to play. I'll be good, and I'll be better the next game. And I think that's the right mentality going into that next game, right? But then, he gets scored on early, and then he probably is oh, crap, I thought I'd be better than this. I was hoping to have a better start, and then he probably is chasing again, trying to stop the puck too hard.
Yeah, I think honestly, actually, I'm happy you mentioned this. I thought Helly looked really good in Game 3 against Dallas until.
Yeah, this was a St. Louis series.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, sorry.
That was against St. Louis.
Do you want me to further this point? Because it's a good point.
Yeah.
Unless you want to finish up.
No, go. No, yeah, that's.
So last night, because this is relative.
Yeah.
Halfway through Game 3, or maybe in the third period, the third goal goes in, and weird goal again. He was kind of chasing a little bit. I think he put himself in a weird spot.
Oh, is that when he put it in on himself on accident? And I was how? What kind of angle is that for him to put that puck into his own net? It looked impossible.
I think a lot of times that just hits his stick and doesn't go in because that's Helly. You know what I mean?
This is where he does impossible things, and last night it ended up being scoring on his own net.
Yeah.
From an impossible angle.
Up until that point, I thought he looked really good.
Me too. He had a save in the second where he just bumped across and then just glove save.
Yeah.
Went to the post, was ready.
He was almost playing just like normal Helly.
Yeah.
But then again, so this goal happens, very long delay. Excuse me. Super long delay as they're reviewing the goal, whether it's kicking motion or not.
Right.
And they determine, not only do they determine that the goal counts, but the ref goes on the mic or whatever and says, due to the goalie redirecting it into his own net. I don't know if that's the exact term.
That sounds about right. Yeah, and that's what the replay showed.
I would be lying if I didn't think in my own mind, oh, no.
That's a tough announcement to hear.
It's a tough announcement to hear. And I like to think that that stuff like that doesn't bother Helly, but then, boom, a minute later they score.
So, and they score on the goal where he goes for the poke check, but then goes for the knob down save.
Which is
so probably
really weird
in his head, he's
selection.
probably shoot, I didn't want to
They
put one
literally just said the goal counts because I put it in my own.
Yeah, I didn't want to put one in on myself. Now I'm gonna get one back for my team. And once you start thinking that way, then again you put yourself behind again.
Yeah.
I think the good news for all of us is that you're talking about a top 5 NHL goalie having these problems.
Yeah, for all of us, it's great.
Right. So then, other goalies I've coached men's league or whatever, they're like, sometimes I feel like I'm thinking too much and trying too hard to stop the puck during the game because I want to win. I'm like, yeah, good. Yeah. That's what the best goalies in the world face that too. So
just shows
it should be comforting that you're no different than them.
Yeah, and that's
right?
That's a common issue. You can relate that to beer league guys. You can relate that to recently we've got a lot of kids doing tryouts that really want to make a team.
Of course,
it's all relatable.
Yeah, but I think Helly will be okay. If there's anyone that can figure out how to just mentally relax, it should be him.
Yeah, and I think evidently the first 2.5 games of this Dallas series, once the weight of the world was off his shoulders that he put on himself, he's just back to Connor Hellebuyck.
Except for the third period of last night.
Yeah,
I think just that third goal probably rattled him a little bit.
I think so too. So it'd be interesting to see after everything we just talked about in regards to this year's playoffs at the very least. And what happened in that third period last night, how's he going to recover in game 4?
And I wonder, right, and I think he will. I would think he will. But I wonder because a lot of these games, he gets scored on pretty early, like within the first 2 or 4 shots.
Yeah.
And he's probably like, okay, I want to go out there tonight and just feel like, get in a rhythm and kind of feel good getting into the game. But if you get scored on right away, it's like, now you don't really change your mentality, but you're still just trying to get into that rhythm, but you've already given up a goal.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. For me, I feel like if I give up one early, and I want to know how you feel about this. If I give up one early, it's usually like, it's all good, whatever. I'm fine. I'm not. It doesn't trigger me to think too much or try harder. Now, if I let in 2, there are times like early. Let's say the first 10 minutes, I'm like, okay. Sometimes I'm like, I gotta dial it in. Now, if I let in 3, that's when I'm trying to look for a way out of the game. Who wants one?
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah, that's what you're like.
I'm only half kidding.
This game's not going well for me tonight. I'm out of here.
Who needs one?
Someone give me one.
That's a half joke. But anyways, I'm curious to know what your number is if you have one.
Oh, I don't have one. It's just, I've given up 4 in the first 8 minutes. Here comes Lotzi.
Let me grab my bottle.
Yeah. Like, let me get him a fresh bottle for Lotzi.
Yeah. Hopefully Lotzi doesn't mind me putting his hat on.
Well, yeah.
Get comfortable.
Yeah, I'm a little sweaty. Sorry, don't mean to mess up your hat, Austin.
But no, do you know what I'm trying to say?
It used to be if I got scored on early, I'm like, okay, I want to make the saves. Like, I'm going to start trying harder. Now it's like if I get scored on early, it's just like, whatever. I'm just going to do everything I can to stop the next puck.
Well, unfortunately and fortunately,
I don't feel like I'm mentally like tighten myself up.
Right. We've dealt with that situation multiple times.
Right. But I'm saying Helly should. I feel like he knows how to deal with it.
I don't know. Has Helly been in that situation as much as we? I'm sure he has. I'm just thinking we've been on some pretty. Well, we've been on bad teams
this season. Helly didn't have to. I mean, he had to deal with adversity, but not really. He's the only guy to not get pulled out of all like 30 goalies that played at least 30 games or something.
Yeah, there might be something there, man.
Yeah.
Did he deal with enough adversity from the time he was in juniors to now?
I don't know. He's always been just so good.
Since you've seen him, he's been nasty.
Really good. Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like hearing his story from just like little bits I've heard about his upbringing. Seems like he's always been a super dialed kid that's had to just prove people wrong and stuff.
Yeah, so he's been doing it.
But I think recently has he?
He just needs a good, at least once a season, a good 7 on like 23.
Yeah, well, it's
good for you.
Yeah, we all do. It's like a reset.
He just needs to feel something.
It's like what's the? It's like a fast. He just needs to be fasted.
It's like one of those like juice cleanses.
Where that's what I was looking for.
You only drink like juice for like 5 days just to reset your body.
Or it's like an ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca cleanse.
Oh yeah.
The Aaron Rodgers special.
Yeah.
Helly might need to
Helly's crawling out of that hut.
Helly might need to go to do some ayahuasca.
He's got to get on the Aaron Rodgers plan.
Yeah.
So bottom line is, I think he's thinking too much and trying too hard and thinking too much about the outcome. I feel like I've told you this before. if we go into a game, regular season, whatever it is, and it's like we're playing for first place, and I'm like, okay, we're playing for first place, so I try a little bit harder, like or relative. It's hard to say, it's hard to say you try harder or you don't, but I think I try to be more mentally dialed in instead of just letting myself read the game and play. I feel like I don't play as well, and I'm not as focused.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Even though I want to be.
Yeah.
So I think Helly will figure it out.
For the record, I think your awareness of that is I mean, when do you feel like you became aware of that? At what age?
29.
Okay, well that's fine because that's when you and I probably started talking.
Because
about
it was 2 seasons ago that I started noticing that about myself.
Right.
And like I want to win this game so bad and stay in first place or whatever. That like, all right, let's make saves.
Yeah, and honestly, that's when I started recognizing it myself too, which I think is a lesson in itself that you can learn from a good goalie partner, because we talk about shit all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're a goalie that's listening, whether you're 12 years old or you're 33 years old, I think there's a lesson to be learned there too, where you can cut yourself a little bit of slack. Like it took Hayden Stewart 7 years, six or 7 years at that point of pro.
Yeah.
And everything before that to figure that out.
Right.
So if you're a goalie that's only been playing for a few years, or even if you've been playing for 11 and you're in junior hockey, whatever, like take what Hayden is saying, and from our experience, it took us a lot of time to do that. Now, I got one more point on this, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher this quote, and I hope you clean it up. There's a quote.
We'll see about that.
There's a quote that goes something like this from Warren Buffett, and it has.
Oh no.
Yeah, here we go. Oh no, because I'm going to butcher it, or because you don't know?
I have no idea what's coming.
It has something to do with. Yes, you need to learn. Yes, you need to live and learn, but it's okay to learn from other people's mistakes.
Oh yeah, that sounds like something I've heard him say.
Yeah,
or seen that he said.
And that is nowhere near what he actually says. I'll probably try and find the quote.
We'll have to look for it.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
My point is, if you're one of those goalies that has less experience of hockey than Hayden does, you can. That's what this podcast is for us to share our experiences and hopefully make goalies listening to this podcast better.
Yeah, and relate them to what's going on in the NHL and goalies that you watch on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be okay. And also, it's harder to not think about the result as the season goes on. So, like, if it's game 2, the standings haven't really sifted themselves out yet.
Right.
Like, you don't know who's who. So you're just going out there and playing, and, let's see how we are as a team. Let's try to get back into your rhythm as a team, as a goalie. But now you start getting down the stretch. You get into March or February. You're like, okay, well, we're in third. I'd like to get up to first. So now you start thinking more and more about the outcome, or maybe you're chasing a team to get into playoffs, or maybe you're chasing a spot in playoffs.
Yeah.
You have to almost maintain that same level of I'm going to go out there and stop every puck I can.
Yeah, and
see where the dust settles, and then I'll evaluate my game and see where I can get better after that.
Yeah, definitely. And that moment of when things get a little bit more intense could come for guys after 10 games of the season.
Right.
Like your team could start. I'm thinking about like the Nashville Predators this year. Your team could start really bad. I'm just going to say 0-10 to start, which I don't think they were, but if your team starts 0-10 and you're UC Saros, maybe that moment comes for you then. Like, man, I got to get dialed in here. Like, we're not going to make playoffs,
right?
And we're only 10 games in. But it doesn't matter. To your point, it doesn't matter when that moment comes, because you shouldn't. Your thought process and your approach to the game should be the same.
No, your only focus is always got to be the same.
Yeah.
And then in playoffs, it's like even a whole nother level of we need to win this game.
Yeah,
obviously,
100%. And I know this might all sound pretty monotonous, but like we cannot emphasize enough how important it is, because we've been through it. We've dealt with it
all the time. It's just part of being a goalie.
It is, and it's the hardest thing to do, clearly, because the best goalie in the world is currently going through it in front of the whole hockey world.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to see how he responds in Game 4 after probably a bad 15 minutes of hockey.
I think he'll do great. Again, he'll just.
A lot of people would disagree with you.
He'll just reset.
A lot of people would disagree with you, because of
that bothered me in Game 70. They gave up 2 goals, and the commentators like, if he gives up one more, we got to put Comrie in. It's like, man, would you guys relax? You guys are making a narrative up about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
And it's easy as goalies to do that to ourselves. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, the commentators be like, they got 2, okay. Let's see how Winnipeg responds. Let's see how Helly responds.
Yep. Yeah,
Anyways.
Elliot Friedman is like, I'd put Comrie in.
Yeah,
Let's
panic a little bit more, everyone.
Yeah. But then Kevin Bex is like sitting right beside him like, no, man, I wouldn't.
You got the back-to-back Vezina winner.
Yeah.
Just let him play. Like, chill.
Yeah, let him play.
It's a Carey Price. Chill out.
Yeah. Oh, one of the most memorable goalie quotes ever. And that was in preseason.
That was in preseason.
Oh.
After everyone was ripping him because they traded Hellebuyck instead of him.
Yeah.
And then he gave up like 7.
Yeah.
He's like, just chill out, man.
Yeah. Carey's just like, I'm just getting going, guys. Just everyone
like,
chill.
what are you talking about?
Yeah. I just came from northern BC. I like let me get moving here.
I've been on the lake all summer.
Yeah, it's preseason.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So, which Helly gave up like 7 on 27 in preseason this year. Okay. So he's overthinking. He's got to reset. We got to real quick. I got to talk about Stuart Skinner. So go.
I don't know why you're throwing it to me because okay, I'll say
you brought up that clip.
Oh, you want me to get going to that clip? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to defend him on.
Okay. So that clip, I watched it live, and again, I'm thinking, I know who the Edmonton Oilers are as a team. I'm thinking I know who the Vegas Golden Knights are as a team.
Okay.
There's 10 seconds, maybe 13 seconds left on the clock. And I believe it was William Karlsson that dumps the puck in.
Wild Bill Karlsson.
Yeah. Hell of a hockey player, I think. I like the way he plays.
Yep.
Irrelevant. Has the puck at the red line, dumps it into the corner,
Right.
chases his own dump down.
Right.
I'm like, oh, he's about to be the first on the puck right now. I'm like, this could lead to something. This is all going through my brain within a span of a few seconds.
Right.
There's now 10 seconds on the clock or less, and William Karlsson has the puck in the corner.
Right.
As soon as that thought goes through my head, I see the Edmonton Oilers trying very hard, which is, I won't even go there, but they over back check. Okay, so now there's like 4 or 5 guys low.
Right.
And I don't see many Dallas Stars, I don't see many Vegas Golden Knights in the picture.
Right.
But they're coming.
Right.
And sure enough, William Karlsson throws the puck out front.
Yep.
Okay. Hard play for a goalie. It's a low to high play with a guy coming downhill in the slot with traffic in front. Extremely hard play. You're probably expecting him. You know how much time is left on the clock.
Yep.
You're probably expecting him. This could be a one-timer. This could be a catch and quick release. You're getting ready for a shot. Hell of a play by Riley Smith. Hangs onto the puck.
Right.
Extremely hard play for a goaltender to then be like, okay, I'm going to unset my feet.
Directions,
And by the way, you're not thinking this because you're not thinking in this moment. I'm going to unset my feet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change directions and get back to my post.
Okay.
Extremely hard play. It doesn't. And then, so for those that don't know, what happened then is Riley Smith was patient, kind of kept the puck on his forehand, took it to the blocker side, probably about bottom of the circle.
No, a little bit above the goal line.
Okay, above the goal line. Threw it at the net. It was going to miss the net.
Yeah.
And Leon Draisaitl back check, hit his backhand, and went into
Leon
the net.
Draisaitl literally just tipped it in his own net.
Correct.
Even though it was going to miss.
Now, what Stuart Skinner did was he chased out after all this, after everything I just said. He chased out instead of going back to his post.
Right.
And when the puck was entering his net or crossing the goal line, am I over-exaggerating if I say he's at the bottom of the circle?
Probably close, yeah.
Okay. So, even though it's a hard play, my point is that he chased that puck way far out of the net.
He did.
And that's all I got. So I painted the picture.
But I don't think in this situation it was bad.
Okay, this is where you got to take over.
He gets the puck. Riley Smith gets the puck and goes to his left. You're right. You know there's 1.5 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
He can't make a play. So what do you think Stuart Skinner's thinking?
Get in front of it.
Right. I'm going to take as much time and space as I can away from this guy because he's the threat. He's the only one that is going to score on me.
Mm-hmm.
Wild Bill hadn't made it back to the front of the net. Leon was in the front of the net.
Yeah. In the crease.
In the crease. Stuart Skinner made Riley Smith. He took his time and space. He did his job. He made him miss the net with no time left. That puck would have just gone out, and it was like 0.2 seconds. Didn't they have to review it? It was like 0.2 seconds left. 0.4.
Yeah.
That would have just gone the other side of the net. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
If he just sits there, maybe Riley Smith beats him. But My thing is he did his job in that moment, which
Okay.
was to stop Riley Smith and make him miss, and he did. Draisaitl forgot which net he's supposed to shoot on. Which, that's missing the net. I get maybe Leon doesn't know there's a guy back door, but wouldn't you angle your stick blade so it at least goes out instead of into
I
the
don't
net?
know. I'm
Maybe
not a
as a
hockey
goalie,
player.
that's just something that we just naturally think about.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
I'm going to angle this so it doesn't go into my own net.
We might have to ask an experienced professional hockey player
Right.
their thoughts on that.
So we probably do. So in my opinion, he did his job. He forced Riley Smith to not take a shot because he flew out at him, or he took time and space. Riley Smith's like, I'm going to wait this out, but he's like, wait a minute, I don't have time to wait this out. And Stuart Skinner's like, he doesn't have time to wait this out.
Right.
So I'm going to take time and space. If he wants to wrap it around the net, great. The buzzer's already going to go. I think he's thinking now. Everyone online is like, I'm not a goalie expert, but Stuart Skinner should be in the frame here. It's like, yeah, if it was 10:56 left in the third period, he should be, but it's not. It's 1 second.
Yeah.
It's 1 second left. How about giving him credit for clock management and saying, I know there's no time left. I know he has no time. I'm going to go.
Yep.
I'm going to take his time and space and just make sure he's probably just going to hit me. It's like Fleury diving across in the 2009 finals. Yeah, should Fleury be like this on his side of the net with 0.1 seconds left?
No.
Or sorry.
Or
with
yes.
10:56 left in the period?
No.
But with 1 second left, yeah, that's just clock knowledge.
Yeah.
Like
Clock management, man.
how about giving Stuart Skinner credit for clock awareness?
Yeah.
How about this? Wild Bill's coming in. He chips it in. It's a 1-on-4. It's a 1v4 in the Oilers zone.
I was waiting for
and
this.
no one can get the puck?
No.
The Oilers can't like pin him or like hit him or like
They
get
had
the
guys.
puck
They had the
or
guys there
beat
to
him.
do it.
And then it goes back in front for another 1v3 and that guy gets a shot off.
Yeah, I know.
What are we talking about?
This is
right
where
now?
I thought this was going originally.
And then Stuart Skinner is going to get blamed. Oh, we can't play him.
you can't blame Stu on that play. But
That's the only thing I've seen on social. Everything on social media is like, this is Skinner's fault.
well, okay, so who's saying that? Oilers fans or just hockey
just
fans
hockey,
in general?
just hockey accounts in
Okay,
general.
well that's bullshit. Like what
Hockey
what else
accounts
do
in
you Okay, I got
But no one said this is a 1v4 into a 1v3.
I have to digress here quickly and then I'm going to let you finish this up.
Well, I'm done now.
I'm going to be devil's advocate on you.
Okay.
I agree with you. His clock management was impressive. His intentions were impressive. I think everything he did was right, but he was 1 foot off from completing the play you're talking about. Because yes, he forced him to miss the net.
Yeah.
But it still went into his net because he didn't take away the ice. That Riley
In
Smith
a
passed the puck
perfect
from.
world, I would have tried to make like a toe save to keep it from even going into the crease.
Right.
But then again, Leon's like supposed to have good hands.
Yeah.
He just like goes like he just forgets what net he's supposed to shoot on.
This is, but it's the entire situation. The entire 10 seconds is the problem, not
Right.
Stuart Skinner.
Right.
Stuart Skinner did a better job than any other Oiler on the ice at defending that play.
Probably.
I
like that Leon was back. I like that Leon was back net front.
Okay,
That's
sure,
good for
but
him.
he didn't. Okay, well, he did the worst job. the guys who were on the puck, on what you call him, Wild Bill in the
Isn't that
corner.
his nickname?
I don't know. The
hope
guys
so.
who were on him
Otherwise I'm in trouble.
did a terrible job. Okay, then the guys who are in the slot, whose job is to take the late guys coming off the bench wherever they're coming from.
Right.
They did an awful job. One guy
Right.
was just like standing there. The other guy
They
went to
over
the
back check,
shot.
and then I think when it passed out, they both laid down.
Did they both lay down?
I believe so.
Okay, so
which
again,
I respect.
Sure.
Because they're like, there's no time left. He can't.
Yeah, they kind of did what Skinner did.
Yeah, everyone, all the Oilers are like, okay, there's no time left.
Yeah.
We just need to bleed clock.
This play could have been ended in the corner.
Right.
But is anybody talking about that on Twitter? Because I don't know.
Not that I've seen.
Imagine.
No.
Okay.
No,
So,
but of course,
I think that's BS.
It's always
I
the
think
goalie's
that's BS.
fault.
I think Stuart Skinner did a better job than anybody else. Maybe those two guys that laid down to block, like you said, I respect the shit out of that. But everybody else, especially the guys who was in the corner.
I don't know. It might have been like Wallman, and I don't even know.
Okay, we'll look into it. Anyways, people need to lay off Stuart Skinner. I
saw 4 Oilers jerseys to 1 Vegas Golden Knight, and like that's like 100%. That puck is the Oilers puck.
I think Stuart Skinner is similar to Helly in regards to he doesn't have the best mobility. I think he is not as good as Helly, but I think he plays the game actually very well.
He's technically sound. He's very technically sound.
Yes, and he actually does react to pucks decently well, but he has a lot of brain farts, which everyone does.
Right.
When I can't compare him to Connor Hellebuyck because regular season Connor Hellebuyck doesn't do that. What doesn't do the same things that Stuart Skinner does. as often as he does it.
Right.
But this play specifically and other plays from going back to last year's playoff, Edmonton Oilers fans and hockey fans in general need to relax on ripping Stuart Skinner so easily. Especially, actually, I'm not even going to go there.
I think I knew you were going to go don't go there.
I'm not going to go there.
But it's like, well, Calvin Pickard's 6-0. It's like, okay, well, did you watch the games? Do you watch the games? Okay, that's all.
We have to wrap up.
That's it.
We are back to our weekly podcast.
Yeah.
Our goal is to keep this thing going every week, even during the season. We'll do our best to do that. A lot of content coming, a lot more playoffs to talk about, a lot more goaltending to talk about. It's never ending. So,
all right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. And
thank you, everybody.
Glad to be back.
We'll see you soon. Yeah.